Hello there. Welcome back to episode 9 of The Savage Lands. Today we are going to mourn the loss of our friend here because we've been attacked by a big bad Cyclops. We're going to struggle further for the life of our friend Mistem, who got wounded by the attack of the Cyclops as well, and we're currently trying to get desperately some water together to save his life, because injured dwarves, somehow they can't stomach booze. They need to be fed with clear water, and we have only salt water here. So I dug out a cistern in my desperation, and currently waiting for it to fill with water fast enough. I've did some preparations between this and the last episode, like you might or might not notice here, and I'm going to quickly go over these. This thing here is meant to gather the water more quickly. I don't know if it'll work. I just want to save this guy's life. Apart from that, I dug out a couple of extra apartments, which I will explain in a hot minute. I basically want to expand the city a little bit more passively in between the episodes, so we don't have to watch all that digging there every time. Before we get started for real, quick pointer towards Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee. I'm deeply appreciating all your support, and if you want to join, check out the links in the description box. That's the best ways to get your donations nearly 100% towards me where it helps. Right, now, I put up a little bit of an extra expansion here. These will be minimalistic apartments, 4 of each in this direction. This will be the mayor's suite if the water levels allow, and I've expanded that design onto several levels, because here in that direction we cannot really expand our city in any reliable way. So I figured we want to go further that way, because, where was it? This mining ops here showed me that there's plenty of ground that we can still use in the upper right corner of the map, and that's where the city will flow towards to. I mean, I made a couple of mistakes here basically with these. We could remove one of the apartments to expand the floor here, probably will do that, but either way, this is a system which allows us to expand the city's premises if everything goes like I want it to. So the first thing that I'm going to do on camera here today is I'm going to expand these tiles. So Ormea needs to be satisfied. That's why I went and created this little apartment block here. I'm somewhat afraid that the Aquiferous Rock will nope me out on that one as well, but we'll see. After all, we'll see. So, very curious to see if this one now does its job. Basically, my hope is with a smaller area here that these puddles will not flow into empty tiles, but fill up the puddle good enough that our water carriers can finally grab a bucket and feed this poor guy with water. This is a pretty interesting challenge that you face when you're near sea tiles, because salt water, you can't irrigate places with it, as we've seen, but that's it, you know? So I'm really desperately hoping that one of these things here will then sooner or later be eligible for a water carrier. I have no clue how high the water must be for an orderly to carry stuff. We already have a well here, so in the long run nobody will have to die from thirst anymore, but if this poor guy will die from thirst, promise I'll put a monument to his death here, probably even put his casket there, so everybody in the future knows this is the sacrifice of brave Miss Tem, you know. Alright, I also did a couple of things in the background as well. I set up a couple of work orders here for armor. Because, you know, our soldiers, they start out with weapons. You always have your caravan starting with a couple of weapons, but armor is really a necessity. I am well able to create steel at this point, but I didn't, due to several reasons. I don't want my steel production in a slow pace. Steel is a very demanding industry. It ain't as demanding as adamantite, but, you know, it's still quite some extra effort because you have to create the pick steel and all those things in between. So I decided to go for iron armor because experience has shown that iron gear really does a great job at keeping your dwarves safe. By the way, the setup here, I just wanted to explain it after I'm finally done with everything, gives us a stockpile of these goods, but only if we still have material to work with. I don't like to have my industries eat up the last bit of coal because that's just bad. Any automated process should always leave a bit of leeway for the other industries. So I really don't know if somebody will save him or not. And we have one very unhappy dwarf here, but that ain't too much of a big surprise. Is that something? Alright, giant lizard has been killed. These are the savage lands after all. Alright. So let's see if my butcher can be bothered. Oh, we have... Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I have forgotten to put these on the pasture. With all the things that have happened in between, I totally haven't had the brain capacity to think about these. I'm really happy that DF Hack gives you that warning before they die. This is really amazing. Rest in peace, brother. I pretty much expected that to happen. So we can deconstruct these parts, because after a while this cistern will fill. Probably. We need to tinker here a little bit, because I just realized that this is not really good at all. You know, this ain't aquiferous rock, and this area here basically is soaking water. We don't want areas that soak water. Not interested. Alright. Experience has shown that aquiferous rock is very, very good at creating water. Oh, we have an artifact. Ever since we have that many dwarves here, the fortress has grown really much harder to manage. We're basically experiencing birth pains here, so to say, because there's just so many things that I need to handle all at once now. We need to bury this poor guy, and wait a sec. Is he already buried somewhere else? Oh yeah. And so, one thing at a time. First off, I'll be dismantling this. Mistem Asmelas deserves a fine monument. I love to make custom statues. You know, it's one of my favorite things. If you've been watching my series, you already know my love for these. So, here. There we go. Poor fella. We're gonna make one statue. And let's see. Well, I really love to make these little special things, you know. This fills a fortress for me with a lot of life. So I need to double check on this little guy as well. Because, you know, would be a shame if he'd be dying too. Alright, currently he's wheezing about. It's always a good thing. Burying dwarves is something you don't need to stress yourself out too much to get the job done super quickly. They will turn into haunting ghosts at some point, but that'll take a pretty long time. So we're way ahead of that. So here goes the casket. And I'll be building his statue behind him then when it's done. Alright, let's see how the city came together. Wonderful. They, or miners are really, 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 really fast. And the best part about it, look at that. These tunnels all were successfully excavated. That means we have a fair shot into the aquiferous rock again. But most importantly, I have high hopes that we can expand our apartment business into this direction without any bigger problems. So let's see, we need floor, my good friends. We need a salt block floor. There we go. So this will be the apartment suite of our mayor. I went for a little bit of a more exotic design this time because I was hoping that I am able to trick the aquiferous rock. And here, I totally expected that this direction would be not too fructitious. So probably we could squeak in a couple of apartments here, but do I really want to do this to my fellow dwarves? Do I really want to let them live near a damp and leaky wall? I don't think so. Rather put the officers there. So, you know. My bookkeeper still needs an office. A pierwood bucket. Damn, that's sweet. Bucket artifacts are pretty cool because, you know, dwarves are happy when they interact with them. I could build a well now out of that, which would be amazingly happiness-inducing whenever somebody interacts with it. I don't know if water carriers also interact with it. Technically, it's a pretty wonderful thing. Alright, so the statue is in the making. Wonderful, I just came at the right time. Now, alright. It shows him while he's working. That's totally okay. By the way, you can totally give commands about how these statues have to look. You can also define what should be shown on the artwork. It's extremely in-depth, but I don't do that too regularly because it's just a pain to configure that on camera. But I gotta say, when I'm playing off camera, I sometimes catch myself in creating detailed art. It's a pretty good way to do storytelling, you know. I love storytelling. I'm a passionate DM for pen and paper since my teeny years, so this game is a real wonderful little thing. So, we need a bedroom. I think the mayor's bedroom is supposed to be here. We're going to put the office of the mayor over here. Of course, the mayor's office is not going to be next to a damp and leaky wall. We got standards after all. And we need a couple of chairs. I have forgotten what the mayor wants apart from that. Decent. Okay, and he wants 2 chests, 1 cabinet, weapon rack, armor stand. Okay, so it's time that we build cabinets now. So when your fortress grows substantially over 50, you have all manner of things. With this run, I've been particularly unlucky because usually you get the run towards 50 dwarves is usually 2 migration waves, often even 3. I had it all in 1, and therefore it really was a huge run on us. So I'm gonna go for microcline cabinets. I love the blue tint of these. Let's do this. So we need to have as well racks. Okay, so weapon racks will be made in Orc Fortress out of gold. Yeah, we can't afford it. We get so much gold, it's really no biggie. And armor stands. We make these out of gold too. I mean, usually I wouldn't be going like crazy like that, but you know. So we make coffers already, so we have that chest thing done. Beautiful. Alright, so we now just need to define. I really want to have only 2 of these at any time in advance. We don't need more than that. So it's an order for in between. Cabinets though, I will put into my fortress as a standard piece of furniture, therefore they are highly welcome. So, to make this room decent and all, we're going to give the walls a big good old dwarven rub, so they are shiny. Alright, unhappiness is seizing. Let's see how the Cistern is coming about. Not too well. I know that I'm always a little bit impatient with these things, but I'm very worried that the connection here is going to be not enough to actually drench the room. As you see here, the water is evaporating. As soon as the water has surpassed a certain point, this ain't a problem anymore. It could also be that it's currently only happening because it's summer. This game's wonderful in its detail level. So what we're going to do, personally love this, we're going to dig ramps here. I said ramps. Ah yeah, but going up. So we need to do it like this, right? So I can only dig ramps from down below? Fascinating. Well, we're going to dig a channel and that should do the trick. And more migrants have arrived. Oh, beautiful. So that's why I keep expanding the fortress. So what we're doing now is I'm basically building a hole where there's even more water going to allocate, and that should do the trick. The good thing about wells is that, and fountains, is that they pick up the water from whatever depth. So you see the cistern could be, I don't know, 10 Z levels deep. Game wouldn't mind. There we go. It'll take a while longer until this thing's filled now due to that, but I don't mind. It's okay. Alright, so very grumpy dwarves have been sighted. Not cool. Let's staff out this room. I always forget that weapon racks and armor stands are in this part of the game. Somehow always searching the furniture area for them. So we're going to put a cabinet in there and 2 chests it was. So 1 chest here, 1 chest there. And now the last thing. So these rooms all need to be assigned to the specific dwarf in question, otherwise somebody else will just take them. We've got to be doing this more often in the future, because there will be noblemen and whatnot plaguing our realm. There we go. Storytelling-wise, I can totally imagine that this place will be rich at some point in the future. It's historic that places where trade is happening a lot are wealthy, and the only bridge between 2 continents will always have sort of an impact on trade, one way or another. You cannot change that, you know. It's just how things work. So it's going to be very, very exciting to see how this fortress evolves. Alright, plastering down flooring here to make more bedrooms happen, because this is currently the biggest problem this fortress has to keep up with the growth. This fortress is growing in a pace that I am really struggling with keeping up with. It's eating up all the capacities that I would have loved to put into exploration, but as a matter of fact, it's so important for me always to keep my jurists happy first and foremostly, because I don't want them to spiral into doom. You know, I just care about my dwarves. Speaking about which, it's about time that we announce the Farmers Guild. There we go. Excavated that just for you guys. So our city is now big enough to host a Farmers Guild. Still wish that the formed guilds would be just on top of the list. I hope one day I might be heard. Well, I'm pretty sure it's on the to-do list. Alright. So, Iron Gear is being completed. There's a lot of things happening all at once for today. So we're going to go for this. And let's see. Confirm. Hope this will work without having to assign things to detailed here. Alright. Oh, we need shields. I totally forgot about these. So shields, as a matter of fact, I love to make out of wood, because wood is exactly as good as steel in terms of deflecting blows, but it ain't as heavy. So all in all, your dwarves will be much faster on their feet with wooden shields, unless you happen to have a very, very heavy type of wood in your home base. Things like that happen all the time, but it's not the usual thing happening. Okay, so I decided that my Gabbro stockpiles must be shrinking a tad bit, territory-wise, because I wanted to have a microcline turf. Every stone that I put on my order list should have some storage pile at some point or another. And I'm not sure if I have a slate stockpile. So here, same things apply. I always assign a couple of wheelbarrows to these, so it's easier to carry things. Yes, slate has been assigned as well. Wonderful. So, another thing that I really want to change, we got rock mechanisms here in our order list. These are to be made out of Gabbro in the future. It's quite simple. I want only lava-safe mechanisms in my fortress, and now we're going to rack up more of these. Rock salt mechanisms are not magma-proof, and if we happen to have to work with magma one day, it really makes so much of a difference. Are you guys kidding me? This is weirding me out. So they're, why are they not burying him again? So I locked his corpse once, but it seems as if they are not burying him a second time. Is that a thing? Nobody's touching his body anymore. Oh no! I find this extremely tragic because this means that I need to dump him. That's one thing that I really don't like to do with a fellow dwarf. But maybe I can unlock this problem with this body here, this way. It'll also mean that I'll have to put a memorial on his body one day. So let's unlock his body and see if that'll work out. What a shame. What a bloody shame. So, let's see, is the skeleton now locked? No, it ain't. So technically, they could bury him now. Practically, I have my doubts that they will. Oh no. Yeah, well, we're building a memorial slate then to his honors. Not quite what I had in mind, but whatever. So this floor hatch never has been delivered. Amazing. I can only assume that... No, here it is. Okay. Well, some things just take their time, assume. Okay. Oh, look at that. The cistern is actually finally working. Once that thing is fully filled up, I am pretty fond of it carrying the water over to the next level. Or at least I hope so. But most importantly, we should be also be able to mark that as a water source. I don't know if it works like that. Let me know if you know. So... Alright, so let's see. My mayor is almost happy. He's just unhappy with the quality of his premises. And we got ourselves the extra bedrooms carved out. There's still a large demand of extra bedrooming. I'm well aware of that. But, you know, at least I have now found a new place in the fortress where I can carve out apartments, you know. Speaking about apartments, I want to know if these, if the leaky office project is actually a thing. Yep, it is. But as a matter of fact, we're going to make them a little bit more comfy here. We could carve actual bedrooms in there, but I don't want to. Alright. So the very exciting part about these apartments here is that we're digging into magnetite territory. So I'm really pondering right now about the question whether I should excavate the stuff and replace it with proper walls or just leave it for the natural tint. Well, we'll see about that. Our armorers are churning out masterpieces. Nice. So we're going to have to convince our jurists to pick up some gear, and we'll have to configure them, yeah, here, that they're allowed to pick up wooden shields as well, otherwise the wooden shield won't go. We basically applied a template for metal gear onto them, so wooden shields are not per standard allowed, but now the boys are geared out. And after a while of training, they will be absolute killing machines, keeping this fortress safe from the first couple of pilferers. Very happy about that. So let's celebrate that with a bookkeeper, shall we? So we're going to put in a chair, and going to put in I need bookcases, but I need to think about out of what material I'll be building them. And currently, for this very moment, I'm busy with other things. So, yeah. To polish up this place, we're going to go and start engraving now. For the very first time, it's engraving time. So, our friend the Mason is actually a legendary in other things. So I really need to check out what his expertise is. So I bet that the office is surely to the liking of the mayor, because, you know, with all these golden, extremely valuable pieces of furniture, this shouldn't be too much of a bother. So let's check it out. I'm feeling a lot better about the fact that we now got ourselves a couple of armored and geared up dwarves that are ready to beat down enemies that come across. We've been ambushed so darn fast. I've been very shocked about that, in all honesty. So this is highest priority work. So what up with my engraver? So tell you what, since this guy is just a novice, and I feel as if he's one of my miners anyway, Udeep, does his name show up here? No, he's Unid. Whatever. We're going to pick up another person who's not too proficient. Send the cheesemaker. The thing here is a quite simple one. I like to have somebody, the engravers, at a very professional level. Engravings become more and more valuable the more professional the dwarf is who's doing them, and therefore I like it to have super powerful engravers. And the best way to do this is just like with the planters, you funnel all the experience into one dwarf. And that's what we're doing here. Besides, we're watching him improve his art bit by bit. So circles, he's just drawing some circles. But this makes this wall now more valuable, and this way we're increasing the standards of these rooms, and sooner or later this room should be making our mayor happy. So when they're getting better at what they're doing, they're also creating actual art. Currently it's just very basic and simple, but it'll be referring to events here in the fortress one day sooner or later as well. It's pretty cool. And let's see, I want to check. So not all bedrooms are claimed. That's a very, very good sign. That means usually that you have more bedroom available than you have people asking for it. So let's see, the dwarven child is still... Yeah, right. There, we have a traumatized child here in our midst. I'm very sorry. I should have done better, but we will make sure that these things won't happen again. We also should think about a way to dispose of these nice little fellas, but next episode, my friends, we have caged up goblins. Now, thanks for watching, everybody. I've been very, very happy about today's episode, except for poor Miss Tem not being able. I'm very sorry that for one I wasn't able to save him, and for another thing that we actually weren't able to properly bury him. So we're going to build up a memorial one day sooner than later, because he's going to haunt us as a ghost one day, because he's not being buried and dwarves never stomach that well. And we're going to outro today's episode with a good old flick of the Atom Smasher. In case you don't know what an Atom Smasher is, this is an Atom Smasher. We've just removed the mortal remains of poor old Miss Stem, because whatever is below the bridge gets destroyed when the bridge gets lowered. We could also do this with these cages, but one thing at a time. See you guys next time. Leave me your comments down below. A thumbs up or a subscription would be wildly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed your stay. I really, really love this fortress a lot, and I hope we're going to continue soon with all the wonderful things happening here. Thanks for watching yet again. See you next time.